Do you know when the voice is gonna speak?
Sometimes.
Does it ever say things just to you that you can only hear?
Yes.
Does it feel like it's coming from inside of you?
More like it's coming from behind me. Like I'm being used.
How do you feel about rapidly becoming something like a czar for the horror genre? I mean, you know, you've done the Twin Series films, you've done the Conjuring films. They're the most successful horror films in the past 4 years, 5 years. And they're also critically acclaimed, which is quite rare for the genre, right?
Yeah, I think you know, I think it's really cool.
Of course.
I'm a big fan of the genre, and so so you know, so I like the idea of you know, being able to sort of cross over, you know, from, you know, the hardcore horror fans who love these movies, which is kind of who I am, making movies that are for them, but also kind of crossing over and sort of you know, being able to make these movies that the general public that don't necessarily usually watch scary movies also like them as well. And I think you know, that's quite a challenge, but that's kind of what I'm really striving for. And you know, I would love to try and, you know, I'm trying to bring, you know, respect to the horror genre in a way that it hasn't been sort of respected, you know, in the sort of more mainstream world.
I think you're the guy that made them cross over to the mainstream. I mean, from the fun boys.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. Was the Furious movie a change of pace for you, or just another step in your artistic ambitions? I mean, you know, another bigger step, let's say.
Yeah, I think it's both. I would say, you know, it's a step in the direction that I wanted to go into. You know, to showcase people that I'm not just a horror director, that I'm, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I've always sort of, you know, seen myself as just a filmmaker, any kind of filmmaker, you know, to just be pigeonholed as one thing is very limiting, and I hate that, and so, you know, it's kind of cool that that I've really made my mark in this particular genre, but I definitely want to branch out and do other stuff. And Fast and Furious 7 really was, you know, very important for me to show people that I can, you know, tackle other kind of films, like the bigger stuff.
So, and what have you learned by the experience of the huge budget? I mean, is it going to, do you think that it's going to help you in the future tackling some more difficult projects, budget-wise, I mean, because artistically I think what makes a film difficult is very personal.
Yeah, I mean, artistically, I always say there's really no difference to the actual art of filmmaking, whether you have a lot of money or no money, and I've done the whole spectrum. I've made movies for very low budget, and, you know, money that is like over 300 million budget, but there's really no difference to the actual craftsmanship. The big difference, obviously, is, you know, having way more people, and so you know, you have more talent to help you out and more toys to play with. But in terms of just all the crazy headaches that come along with filmmaking, they work at different levels. When you're making a bigger movie, you have much bigger headaches, and so it's good to be able to, you know, for me as a director, direct movies at such opposite end of the spectrum, because what that does is it gives me a real good perspective on, you know, on everything, and then, you know, and in between as well. And more importantly, I think it allows, you know, the people that give me the money, the confidence to continue to hire me for other projects.
So I hear about Aquaman. Is this happening?
It's definitely in the pipeline.
Great, great.
Yes.
Okay, now a personal question. I'm just joking. I'm just gonna ask you, how much do you love Patrick Wilson? I mean, you guys have made 4 movies together, and
Patrick Wilson?
Yeah.
I cannot stand that guy. He just keeps following me around wherever I go.
I mean, he's the same thing in the other room.
I'm joking. I know. I'm doing this in this room. He has to do the same thing in the other room. No, Patrick's cool.
I mean, you must have a great professional relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, will it continue some upcoming project that we don't know about?
We don't necessarily have anything planned right now, but you know, like any chance I can get to work with Patrick again, I jump at it. I think the guy is fantastic, and we do have a fantastic working relationship. You know, I always admire directors that work with the same actor. You know, like Scorsese with De Niro and DiCaprio, and then, you know, Tim Burton with Johnny Depp. I love that sort of, you know, it's always really cool. It makes for really interesting storytelling, I think, from you know, from the acting side and the directing side, and so you know, so I look forward to many more of it in the future.
Great. And one last question. My favorite scene in the new Conjuring film was the one with the Elvis song.
Yes, that's my favorite scene too.
Patrick told me, when I told him that it's my favorite scene, that was the first scene you
I
wrote.
pitched him. Yes, that was the first scene that when I came back to Conjuring 2, I texted Patrick and I said, "Hey Patrick, do you know how to play the guitar?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" I go, "You'll find out soon enough." But yes, that is a great scene, and I think that scene really sums up my feeling for The Conjuring 2, which is, and the Conjuring films, in that it is a movie about, you know, people that you love and characters that you care about.
Great. It was my favorite as well.
Awesome.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a pleasure.